Hey everybody, let's talk a little bit about the differences between Git and GitHub. I know this is a kind of a common source of confusion. I remember that being confusing to me. What's the difference? Where does Git end and GitHub begin? And what are the parts that GitHub is good at? And is GitHub dependent on Git and vice versa?
Right. Those are great questions. And they're ones that I had too. It takes a long time. It's still, there's some lines that are really, really blurry, right? And it's because they work together so well. We want it to feel seamless, right? But really, GitHub is built on top of Git. So Git is the version control software that has existed, right? GitHub is built on top of it as an application to make collaboration easier and to make working with Git easier with other people. So some of the features that help us do that are issues, pull requests, where you can do code review and really look at code from other developers in a nice UI. We have organizations and teams, so giving access to certain repositories is a lot easier that way, rather than setting that all locally and making sure everybody you're working with, checking on their local configurations. We also have some really great integrations that work with GitHub specifically. Like Heroku, that wedding website I was telling you about, I have it set up so all I have to do, click a few buttons. Any changes I make to the master branch of my repository are automatically up on my Heroku site. And those are things that integrate with GitHub, not just with Git. But really the tools for collaboration, that's the big picture of GitHub.
Okay, so all of the strange, sometimes strange feeling command line arguments for Git, that's all part of Git, right?
Right.
Okay, so the commits and the pull, and not the pull requests, the commits and the push and the pull and things like that. And then when you hear about pull requests, that's a GitHub specific thing. So that's how we collaborate on exchanging our Git commits.
Right. A pull request, the name comes from back in the day where you'd request someone to pull your changes down locally. Really, it's kind of a merge request.
Yeah, right.
But all of that is, you're right, that's up on GitHub. There are some ways that you can use GitHub from the command line if that's really what you want to do.
Yeah.
But it's not the most common workflow that we see.
Yeah, I've noticed that it's not very common, and actually when we get into the command line section, I'll show a little bit of that, about using GitHub from your command line. I found myself a little bit frustrated because I was able to do so much stuff from the command line, but then I would still need to go to github.com in order to manage my repositories or do some simple things. So I would jump out to the browser and then back to the command line. And so I discovered a way to use a node module to just use GitHub from my command line. Now I still go to the browser for things like pull requests and issues and adding collaborators and things like that. So. Sure.
Yeah, we want it to work best for developers however they like to work. My personal workflow is I use the github.com UI for everything collaborative. And whenever I want to work on something myself, I pull it down locally and do all my changes through the command line. But that's going to be different for everybody, and we like that. That's good.
Yeah, right. Yeah, some people want to stay in the IDE. I want everything to come to me in my IDE. And other people say, I want to stay in the command line. I want everything to happen for me in the command line. So yeah, and luckily all of those are lit up, so we can really do it any way we want.
Yeah, there's tools out there, and with the GitHub API and webhooks, we encourage developers to, if there's not a tool out there that works for you, to make one and put it on GitHub so other people can benefit from it too.
Wonderful. Is there more to share about centralized versus distributed, or should we close that topic off for now?
I think we're good. I think we're ready to move on.
All right, let's move on.